Good afternoon on a warm, humid and cloudy day. It is Monday the 12th of June. I've got a nice hot cup of tea and a box to continue unboxing. And the first thing I am going to pull out of here is Star Trek Adventures Gamma Quadrant. So this is the third of 4 setting supplements for Star Trek Adventures published by Modiphius Entertainment. So I've already looked at the Alpha and Beta quadrants. I've got the Gamma Quadrant to look at today, and I will have a look at the Delta Quadrant fairly soon. So, through the wormhole, let's just say if you want to do business in the Gamma Quadrant, you have to do business with the Dominion, Zyri, Dosi Trader. The Gamma Quadrant sourcebook provides game masters and players with a wealth of information to aid in playing characters or running adventures set within the ever-expanding Star Trek universe. The Gamma Quadrant sourcebook includes information on the Federation's relationship with the Dominion and other Gamma Quadrant denizens as of 2375. Material about the Dominion and its history, structure and culture, including information on many of its member worlds, allies and enemies. Detailed information about the brutal Dominion War, from its beginnings as a Cold War to open conflict, including involving billions of beings. A dozen new alien species to choose from during character creation, including the Dosi, Lurians, So'ona, Wadi, and the Changelings. A selection of starships from the Dominion and So'ona, as well as several notable wartime Federation vessels. Guidance for the Game Master on running missions and continuing voyages in the Gamma Quadrant and on the front line, along with a selection of new non-player characters to enhance encounters. This book, of course, requires the Star Trek Adventures core rulebook to use. So we've got a terrific cover with essentially a Defiant style type ship being chased, or the Defiant being chased by, I'm presuming that's a Dominion or Jem'Hadar vessel. And you can see the ongoing star battle across both covers like that. So that's really quite a terrific cover. Now, what's important about this book is that by default, Star Trek Adventures is designed to cover three periods. The period of Starship, so basically of the Enterprise, Star Trek the original series, Captain James Kirk, and of course Star Trek Next Generation with Jean-Luc Picard, and the beginnings of DS9, Deep Space Nine with Benjamin Sisko. But that period is the default period is the year 2371. This updates it to 2375, pushes the timeline along so that player characters and game masters can engage in a campaign set during the Dominion War, in and around the wormhole and beyond. So we open up and we have essentially a map of the Delta Quadrant, Gamma Quadrant, excuse me, and notable victories, periods in history. You've got a little table there of basically of indicating table of symbols indicating alliances, Dominion wins, alliance raids or skirmishes, Dominion raid or skirmishes, Cardassian Liberation Front base, and so on. And you can see here we've got Cardassia, and then where is it? Deep Space Nine, and let's have a look, where it is marked on here. Essentially the wormhole and through. So if I can see if I can find it. Just looking at the map, but it is nearby. We get onto credits and contents page, starting with an introduction, which of course will explain how to do the book. If I can turn the pages, just to get my fingers. There we go. And then we've got a Defiant class space frame, which gave the crew, or essentially of Deep Space Nine, a weapons platform to take the fight to the Dominion. So, introduction. Welcome to the Gamma Quadrant. The image of there, a quartz bar. And here we've actually got a better one. Here's the essentially of the wormhole there. And so essentially, here you've got an explanation of campaign structure and sorry, structure of the book and campaign use, and of course discussion of using this content in previous eras. So the Star Trek the original series era or the Enterprise era, and really with the Gamma Quadrant, it's just a bit too well. It's more than a bit too far out from the space they either ships reached to really be of use. As ever, we've got commentary and in-game reports and diary entries and so on from various NPCs. So we've got like a major one from Quark here, proprietor of the bar at Deep Space Nine. Before we delve into history of the Dominion and the Changelings, and how essentially the Changelings were basically a harassed people because nobody could trust them because they could change shape until they found a base where they could begin operating from. And here we have the importance of the Great Link for all of the Changelings, discussion of the Volta telekinesis, political structure of the so on, the development of Ketracel White to keep the Jem'Hadar in line, various different races, an entry on Dominion tonight, almost like like a television news show, Dominion tonight, and of course we have continued mercantile interests, so not just from the Ferengi, but also from the Pac-Led, I believe. Looks to be for the Pac-Led on first glance. The aims of the Dominion. And then we have a discussion of the nature of the Dominion from a point of view of expert before we get into an examination of various Dominion worlds. So these are all places that you might visit in a campaign, sort of target locations for adventures or strikes and so on, for various worlds. You have personal log excerpts, of course, silent officers, confidential logs, which add colour and flavour and literally sort of, give opinions upon the content you're reading in the main section. Then when we move on to having a look at the Dominion in quite some depth, we have the Gamma Quadrant itself. And the different various species to be found there, including the Breen, the Sonar, who else? The Gazin Patriarchy. Now that's an interesting inclusion because the Gazin are an odd addition to the Star Trek timeline. Originally appeared because Larry Niven wrote an episode of Star Trek the Animated Series, and it essentially had sort of like one of the basically the sort of like the Cedar race boxes to be found, and it could if it could be opened, it could contain amazing technology, and both the Gazin and the Enterprise wanted it, and so on. And the Gazin has sort of like appeared in the Star Trek universe seen in Starfleet battles, but not in Star Trek itself, not in the main timeline. This introduces the Gazin back in as a species, essentially as an actual race, puts them in, you know, in context. And I mean, the other thing is that the Gazin would have been included in the 5th season of Star Trek Enterprise, which unfortunately was never made. So various different races, you know, species, totally in assemblies. Discussed those possible allies: Breen, Norsicans. You've got Dominion enemies. Including the Ferengi Alliance and the Federation, other realms of species too, and you've got like an overview of the Defiant class, and discussion of first contact with the Dominion and loss of the USS Odyssey. Before we get on to the Dominion War itself, which is a major event in the Star Trek timeline, takes you from first contact through First Blood, the Klingon-Cardassian War, First Battle of Deep Space Nine, Federation Klingon War, Dominion expands. Second Battle of Deep Space Nine, guidance for role-playing the Cold War. And then moving on to Open War, including, you know, war behind the lines, covert operations and resistance movements, fighting back. And this is just basically charting the progress of the war through, you know, essentially from 2371 up to, you know, beginning for the Cold War up through to 2375. And then we've got creating characters during and after the Dominion War, script piece of advice for player and game master. And 2375 brings it to close, the end of the Dominion War. You know, basically giving you the status of all the different polities. So yes, you know, including the Cardassian Union, Klingon Empire, Romulan Star Empire, and the Ferengi Alliance. Before we get on to species of the Gamma Quadrant, including which new life path options, with rules for non-Starfleet unusual or unique characters, and additional last path options. And we have new species including the Dosi, and not all of them marked, are basically are illustrated, which is a bit disappointing. You've got rules on there for playing changelings, because, you know, what player's going to want to, because it could be interesting. Dra, Karima, Galurians, Paradans. So, you know, the player characters, Rakari, and some of these are limited to when they can appear. So then the Sonar and the Tusk and the Wadi. For starships of the Gamma Quadrant, so Dominion starships, Jem'Hadar battleship, and so on at Water Explorer. Again with great artwork. Starships, the Dominion War, so USS Galaxy. These are essentially notable ships. And USS Sutherland, and we've got multi-vector assault mode for so basically using multiple parts of ship to attack. USS Valiant and Defiant class, Majestic, Miranda class, and so on, and then Frankenstein fleet. Which is basically Starfleet's attempt to develop a sizable enough fleet to withstand a Borg invasion. And then guidance for exploring the Gamma Quadrant. You've got encounter seeds, and more NPCs, including Jem'Hadar and Vorta, and then encounters and adversaries. The Dominion War, playing during the Dominion War, games involving the Dominion War, stellar campaigns, and also intrigue and conspiracy. So advice there for the game master. Central galactic politics, desperation and desperation until victory. Essentially, there we have sort of the central themes of such a campaign involving something like Dominion War. So on. So we basically have sort of Dominion encounters, things like standard Dominion supply garrison, starship encounters, discovery of the unknown, Dominion tactics, fleet deployments, and so on. Again, all advice for helping the game master set up encounters. And then we have major MPs really associated with Deep Space Nine and the Dominion War. So General Martok, Kai Wynn, Gul Dukat, and Wayun. The founder leader, and the use, of course, of the morphogenic virus. So yeah, that is the Gamma Quadrant for Star Trek Adventures. Essentially everything you need to know to run a Dominion War campaign, expand into the Gamma Quadrant, and explore a turbulent period of Starfleet and the Federation's history. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. And if you've got any console feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box from which I will unbox a book or game and chat about it to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do hit the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching. I'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.